I'm so glad I live in a world where there are Octobers. I couldn't agree more with L.M. Montgomery. I love the month of October. It is my favorite month of the year because it has my favorite holiday, Halloween, and I enjoy the spooky season. Hi, I'm Kat. Welcome back to Kat's Novel Adventures. Today, I'm going to share with you what I read in the month of October. I read 6 books during the spooky season. 1 book was nonfiction, 2 of my books were adult horror, and 3 fall in the category of children's lit. 2 of them happen to be middle school, and the other one is a young adult novel. So let's get started with the children lit selections. The first book I read in October was Witches by Roald Dahl. This was fabulous. Definitely a 5-star read for me. It's about a young boy who lives with his grandmother and he grows up listening to tales about witches. Well, one day when he and his grandmother are on holiday, he comes face to face with like the head witch and he finds out a secret, and with that secret, he and his grandmother decide that they're going to try to put a stop to whatever they're planning for the children of the world. Great book, highly recommended. The second book that I read was Clown in a Cornfield, and this is by Adam Cesar. This is the second book that I have read by Adam. The first book I read by him was Video Night, and that was a couple of years ago. I read it with my book club. But Clown in a Cornfield was really pretty interesting, and I was pleasantly surprised. It's a 4-star read for me, only because I was expecting a little more to do with supernatural elements, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it is a really great story overall. The story is about a young girl named Quinn. She's in high school, and she and her father moved from Philadelphia to a small town where they are trying to get a new start. Well, Quinn makes some friends, and she soon finds out that her friends are not really liked by the elders of the town. And so there's a struggle between a new generation and the old generation. And as time goes on, she finds that there are secrets, and those secrets begin to unfold. And those secrets actually turn out to be rather dangerous. So I would recommend reading Clown in a Cornfield. It's a little bit different. Don't expect anything supernatural, but I would definitely give it a whirl, and I think it was perfect for the spooky season. The next book that I read in the children's lit category is a middle grade selection called The Power of Poppy Pendle by Natasha Lowe. This was incredible. I really loved it. It was another 5-star read for me. It is about a little witch, Poppy, who really doesn't want to be a witch. Even though she's very good at being a witch, she doesn't want to be one. She doesn't want to spend her time practicing witchcraft. What she wants to spend her time doing is baking, and she bakes very well. So she ends up having a struggle with her parents, who want her to follow into the footsteps of her great-grandmother Mabel, and that struggle gets to be the point that her parents actually take the oven out of the house. Well, this causes Poppy to be distraught, and she ends up taking things into her own hands, and it causes quite a stir in the magic community. But it was really a wonderful read, and a lot of heart, very charming, even though there's some parts that are heartbreaking. It's almost like the message is, you know, you should be able to, you know, have more than one interest or be able to do more than one, you know, thing in your life. But what I love about it is at the end of the book, they also include some tips from Poppy on some good baking tips from Poppy, and also include some really awesome recipes. So one day I may try some of the recipes because they look fairly easy, but they sound really delicious. So I definitely would check this out if you like reading middle grade literature. For my nonfiction selection, I chose Fear Itself, the early works of Stephen King. This is edited by Tim Underwood and Chuck Miller. It is basically 9 literary criticisms about Stephen King's early work prior to Christine. So if you're a fan of Salem's Lot, Carrie, Cujo, The Shining, I think you would really enjoy reading their takes or their feelings about Stephen King's impact with those novels. Also, there is a wonderful introduction by Peter Straub, who Stephen King actually collaborated with on a couple of novels. And what I liked about it was it talked about how they first met and when Stephen King and his wife Tabitha went to England and had dinner with them and how we got to know each other. And then also there is an afterword by George Romero. Stephen King and George Romero became good friends, and they also collaborated on a couple of films together. And then there is a wonderful, wonderful essay by Stephen King himself that talks about how he became a brand name because he didn't start off wanting to be necessarily a horror writer. And as you know, if you are a fan of Stephen King, not all of his books are horror. He does write some fantasy and some science fiction as well. But I gave it 4 stars because there were a couple of essays in it that I didn't find all that, interesting, a little dry or hard to get through. But the majority of them are really, really well done. So I would definitely take a look at this if you are a fan of Stephen King and want to learn more about his early works. My next selection is my first adult horror selection, and it is Kill Creek. I read this with my book club. It is by Scott Thomas, and it was fabulous. I loved it. 5 stars. It is about 4 horror novelists who are invited to stay in a haunted house that has a really horrifying past, and they're going to be interviewed. And the catch is they have to do it on Halloween night. So they go to the house, they're interviewed, and a few spooky things happen, but it's in the aftermath of that interview that things really get ramped up. It is a slow burn, but I'm going to tell you, Scott Thomas did a great job of building up the tension and the suspense, and the last part of the book gets really ramped up. And there was even a time where I was like, I had to shut the book because I was like, I don't know if I can continue with this. But really good, very, very satisfying ending. So I'd highly recommend checking out Kill Creek by Scott Thomas. If you are a horror fan, it was the perfect pick for the spooky season. And finally, Kelsi, my friend Kelsi over at Slime and Slashers, she and I are doing a Year of King this year. And for October, we chose Needful Things. This is awesome. That's all I can say. 5 stars. This is actually a reread for me. I read this so many years ago, so it was so fun to be able to revisit it. It is a chunker, as you can see. And it's wonderful. So much good stuff as far as what happens to the people of the town. Well, first of all, it takes place in Castle Rock, and it does say that it is the last Castle Rock story, but that isn't really true. We know that there are other Castle Rock stories that came out after this. In fact, Kelsi and I just did a live stream on her channel the other day, and we talked about Needful Things, the book, as well as the movie. So if you want to check that out, I'll put that in the description below. But getting back to Needful Things, such great character development. Stephen King is awesome when it comes to writing characters. Basically, the story is about a small town, Castle Rock, which is in Maine. And it's a sleepy little town, and lo and behold, a mysterious man comes to town and opens up a curio shop. And he sells all kinds of little odd items, and the items are pretty appealing to the people of the town. And it almost seems like he knows exactly what items will entice his customers. Soon what happens is that the people who come to shop, the residents of Castle Rock, when they come to shop, some of them get pretty possessive about their items. Now, keep in mind, they pay for their items, but not just with money. Leland Gaunt, the proprietor of this shop, would like for each customer to give him a little more than money. And he basically gives them some pranks to play on neighbors. And some of the pranks that are played are not very friendly pranks at all. So it kind of gets kind of dangerous and deadly, and the poor little town of Castle Rock is never the same once Leland Gaunt comes and opens his shop. But definitely a 5-star read. Definitely Stephen King fans, if you have not picked up Needful Things, I would definitely recommend that you do that. So there you have it. That is what I read in the month of October, and it was really a successful month in my opinion, because like I said, I had 2 4-star reads and 4 5-star reads, and I enjoyed everything that I read for the month. So until next time, friends, please stay amazing and be adventurous.